There are 11 indicators of effective curriculum, and they're listed on page 316 in your text in a really nice chart, but I thought I'd discuss them with you very quickly. These indicators really let us know as teachers that what we're working with is going to work with children and it's going to allow us to do our job well. Sometimes we have a curriculum that does not allow teachers to make professional decisions, and it sometimes does not allow teachers to make changes. It's so rigid. And that kind of curriculum becomes ineffective because it's not going to meet the individual needs of your learners. So when we have this curriculum in place, we need to constantly be thinking effectively, especially if it's a curriculum we have a choice of. Is this really effective? So the first area of an effective curriculum is it has goals that are clearly defined and communicated. And that means the teachers and the parents can really be informed as to what is the outcome of this program. When you think about taking a class here at HAC, we have a curriculum for each course. And if you go to the syllabus for this course or any of your other courses, your instructors have spelled out what your curriculum is, which means by the end of the semester, you should be able to do all the things listed there. And so we want the curriculum for the students we're teaching to be the same way, that it's very clear and every child has the same goals unless they have individual modifications made, and parents and teachers both understand those goals. The second indicator of effective curriculum is the curriculum includes the whole child. That means it's comprehensive in the fact that it's looking at the child's cognitive abilities, their social abilities, their emotional abilities, and even with our young children, their physical abilities. And all of those are combined under the academic content area. So as well as that whole child being, we put those in place with our reading and our writing and our math, etc. And we want to make sure that our program includes that whole child because then we know it's really working to better not just the brains of our learners, but our whole beings. The third area we know of effective curriculum is that curriculum is evidence-based. And what evidence-based curriculum means is that if this curriculum was put in place with a similar group of children and evaluated, we would have the same results. So we want to look at curriculum that's going to work with lots of different learners. We want to know that it's effective and that it has worked over time. And so research can give us those answers. Another area of effective curriculum will be very vital, especially if you're working with young children, whether it be our infants and our toddlers or our pre-K or even our primary age learners. We want to make sure that our curriculum is active and engaging. We look at some of these curriculum programs and they're real dry, real boring, and that's not the kind of learning that is going to benefit the whole child. So active, engaging activities mentally and actively and engaging physically will promote learning in our young learners, and we want to make sure that that is included in our curriculum. The fifth area of effectiveness when it comes to our curriculum is that the content is validated and valued. And that means that we know that professionals in the areas that our curriculum is surrounded in would be recommending the practices in this curriculum. We know that the content would be something that is appropriate and important for a child to learn. If we allow people that are not immersed in the field of education to decide what is important for children to learn, it may look a lot different than when it's designed by professionals. When we flip to the bottom, we see that the delivery of our curriculum is really important. And we know that teachers have to have the ability to teach their classroom to meet the needs of each of those little people there. And so if we have a curriculum that is so rigid that a teacher can't teach it well through whatever mode is best, then we see it really ineffective. And that's important as teachers to know that we have that ability to have child-initiated experiences within the curriculum and also teacher-initiated experiences. And we talked about that over the last couple weeks, that it's important that we have those experiences that give children choice and independence and responsibility, but also allow them to meet curriculum goals. And we also have those moments where the teacher is leading the information. We need a balance of that, and we need a curriculum that allows us to have that balance in our classroom. The next one is very common sense, but we want our curriculum to be developmentally appropriate. Are the things that are set forth in the curriculum designed for children of this age? This learning stage. We look at all of the learning stages we learn in psychology. Are they concrete thinkers? Are they abstract thinkers? If we're asking children to do things that are not appropriate for their age, then we know that the curriculum is going to fail or it's going to frustrate our learners. The big challenge right now against Common Core is that it's not developmentally appropriate in its materials, in its resources, and sometimes even in its goals. So we want to make sure that our curriculum is developmentally appropriate. The next one, we have the word positive. And of course we want our curriculum to be positive, but what we mean is that it is a benefit to a child. We want them to move forth out of each stage of the curriculum and have a positive experience that will lend itself to growing in the future. Just when we go back to that last one with appropriateness, if a curriculum is developmentally inappropriate, it leads to negativity, it leads to frustration and not enjoying learning. That is not a positive learning experience. And we have kiddos that are frustrated or bored or just tuning school out. We see that they don't go forth into the next stage of their program or the next stage of the curriculum with a positive attitude, and it's not benefiting them. The same is true when we look at curriculum. We look at that individual learner within the curriculum. We want to make sure that it's not too difficult or it's not too hard. You've all sat in a class where the material was too hard for you and you're not benefiting from it. You've also been in classes where the curriculum was too easy. You're not benefiting from that either. So we want it to be a positive experience for students and know that they are benefiting from the curriculum that is set forth for them. Our next standard is the diversity of the curriculum, and we want to make sure that our curriculum is designed to promote positive cultural and linguistic identities, to celebrate individual differences, and to recognize that everyone is different. That should be built into the curriculum, that our lessons can be taught to explore diversity. Again, when it comes down to certain curriculums are so rigid that you have to use the textbook or you have to use the materials provided, and that may not allow you to select resources or activities or literature that is diverse of the population and representative. If you have little girls in your class that if they're African American and they only read books or play with baby dolls of white children, it's not meeting their needs. And so we have to make sure that our curriculum allows us to branch out in our materials and resources to meet the needs of our learners and celebrate them. Very similar is the ability to differentiate, and that's our next category of effectiveness. And we found that if we have those individual differences in children, the curriculum should be flexible enough to allow the teacher to adapt and still, fall into the curriculum goals. Also, children with disabilities or special needs, we have to account for their learning within each curriculum. I kind of talked about that when we talked about the benefit to the child. If it is too difficult for an individual, what can the teacher do to help the child catch up and meet the curriculum goals? The same sense, if it's too easy, what can the teacher do? What kind of framework is built around the curriculum to expand it and adjust it for our individual learners? That's very important. And the very last category of effectiveness is the ability for the curriculum to make connections to a student's prior knowledge and experiences. We want a curriculum that we as the teacher can take what they know, what is normal, what is an experience that they have had and make it integrate it with something new they're learning. We all learned especially last week, the importance of finding out what a child knows and then connecting and building upon it. That's kind of the philosophy of constructivism and also that Vygotsky's principle. We've talked a lot about this. And if you have a curriculum that does not allow you to make connections, whether it be that the curriculum is too rigid, that you can't use something or you can't veer away from what is scripted in the teacher's manual, we really have individuals that can give us so much, but we need to be able to connect to them. And that's where we take that learning to a higher level. So we want to evaluate the curriculum to make sure it allows for building on prior experiences. So these are those indicators. As a teacher, you want all of these to fall into place to be an effective curriculum. And if you have an area that's not being met, then it's time to evaluate the curriculum and see what's not working and see what adjustments that you can make in the classroom.